on. So coming to the state of the nation, I need us to change perspective a little bit, because we all know what is going wrong. That we do know. We all know that every single day we wake up to another thing gone wrong. So what is going wrong is not actually my worry. It might even accelerate, because it seems like this regime is committed to nothing but destroying our country so that it's unmanageable. And then people either revolt or result into all these ethnic camps and so on and fight or whatever. It's survival techniques on the part of the regime. The real revolution actually took effect in June last year, when the Gen Zs went to the streets, and not only Gen Zs. Media reported about 25 million Kenyans were out there on the streets, basically saying they don't like the direction the government, the country is going, and the fingers are pointing to the executive. The executive was using the finance bill and all of that to sanction the destruction of the country and the economy of the country in particular. And so I want us to focus on way forward. I mean, like, how do we get out of this mess? And Comrade Miguna has, I think, among all those that have been talking about the way forward, I think he's the most focused on the line of action. Because you cannot act benevolently with a dictator. You cannot act kindly, as in, tolerate any more exploitation and destruction of the country. So we've got to put all hands on deck in order to turn things around. And if a clique of people, less than 2,000 people, are against 55 million people, then it's incumbent upon 55 million people to come together. If you're drowning, you don't begin to think where the sandwiches are on the boat. If you're having an air crash, you don't look for your bags. You don't count, how much change you have in your pocket. You treat, survival as a rescue operation. What we need in Kenya is a rescue operation. And it's upon all those progressives and those who want change to ditch their, little differences here and there and come together for the salvation of the country. It's not a one-man show. It's not Kigame. It's not Miguna. It's not Hillary Gondi. No, it's all of us coming together and everybody taking a position and standing against oppression. That is where our effort needs to concentrate, not on which new headline has come to bear on, in the media. So all these sideshows, withdraw the CJs, security, or Gachagua this, and the Luo Nation that, and the Rift Valley this, and the Luya that. All these are sideshows in order to distract us from the main cause. And we need to stay our eyes on the goal. What is our goal? To throw off shackles. You don't throw shackles by sitting down to negotiate with the one who's putting shackles on you. And so that is something I would want to put across very strongly, that we need an emergency operation to come together the way firefighters fight fire in order to get out of a tragedy. But let me finish by mentioning two things, because these are opening remarks. And I want to make a couple of comments on the tragedy of lost values in our country. Every time we talk about values, people think, it's these Christians trying to say we need to be good people and all of. No. It's about fidelity to the Constitution and the law. It's about foundational principles without which we cannot run government or any society. And those are clearly articulated for us in Article 10 of our Constitution. Chapter 6 puts out a lot of information on integrity and qualification for leadership. And even if you were to go into the public sector and so on, Article 232 is very clear on what should be happening in the public sector, in the workplace. So it's not lack of values, it's that we have thought these things called values to be dispensable. We think we can do without them, that we can run the economy, we can run the executive, parliament, audit reports and all of that without appeal to values. You can't. In fact, Article 10 says that you cannot even make decisions in government without the fundamental values listed there. You cannot. You cannot even do planning without those values in place. Now, those are insofar as the Constitution and the law in general give to us as a country. But I'm a bit worried about what I would call personal values, because these are the ones that will tell us whether you can actually perform fidelity to the law or not. So, and I want to give you a perfect example using the so-called previous opposition. The guys that were, with Honorable Raila Odinga and the rest in ODM, and they were considerably playing, I would say, role-playing the aspect of checking the government, excesses and so on. So they were the official opposition, so to speak, for argument's sake. Now, so when you see people that were formerly in that space come into government and behave and argue and reason like stooges of the executive, then the fundamental question is not whether one has positions in government or not. It is that you can't trust them. Because if they were against abductions before, and now seem to say, because we're in government, you need to understand why the government is abducting, then it means that they are people without principles. And C.S. Lewis used to call them men without chests. If you read The Abolition of Man, men without chests, because you have no, moral muscle to be able to distinguish between what is right and what is not right, what is good and what is not good. And so if you hold a position and you are valueless, or you are a man or woman without chest, that is a tragedy. And so it's no longer, something I can say without pain in my heart, that as Kenyans, we need to look at the character of the individual. You know how they have been in high school and college and the workplace where they have worked, what kind of testimonials people have on them. And by virtue of the past record and the meritocracy that comes with it, then decide who we can trust with leadership and who we can't. It's not about rhetoric. It's not about answering questions right in a debate. It's about whether we actually are people with chests or without. And so I'm very worried about that, because the way we are going, it would seem to me that come the next election, some people are still going to take money from these politicians that have been exploiting us, that some people are still going to play dirty party politics. And I would say, for example, the parties in Kenya really are ideology-less. So that today you wonder if somebody moved from one party to the other, are they moving into that party because the party has ideology or because it's an opportunity to get into office? So I'm very worried about values. But the second thing, and maybe the last thing I'll say in my opening remarks, is that I am extremely worried about the economy, because the measure of the health of any nation or society is whether the people in that society can put food on the table, whether they can go to work and come back home in the evening with a loaf of bread for the family. It is whether they are able to travel. I'm on the road now. I'm observing. It's a Sunday evening in Kenya, and it used to be that the highway I am on now used to be a beehive of traffic. It's empty. It's empty. I mean, people are having to think: should I travel? Should I not? And that, of course, puts down. It brings down incomes and the 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 power of the shilling, for example. Now, so I'm worried about the economy because the government seems to play down a lot of things that are going wrong. For example, since 2023, we know that we have been operating without a budget. The 2023 budget was in dispute. The 2024 budget was rejected. In fact, we rejected it. And so what they did was introduce what we call supplementary budgets, whatever that means. So budgetary expenditures on top of a rejected budget. And now nobody really knows what we are dealing with regard to income and expenditures and the projections that go with it. Are we, in fact, because both 2023 and 2024 budgets were in dispute, how do we even move to project the 2025-2026 budgets with all that baggage behind us? The issues have not been addressed. So I looked at the projections that were sneaked onto my desk, and they seem to be pushing it from the 3.9 trillion margin, they're pushing it to 4.32, without even being able to account for the actualization of the 3.9 budget. And by the way, the 3.9, was just floated. The figures were oscillating all the way into the 4 points. So we make all these budgetary projections and even project what we are going to raise without looking at how we are going to raise the money. And then, of course, you have the issue of odious debt. That has been on the table for a while, because we are paying for what we did not spend, what we did not do. And, given a chance to be your president, I mean, this would be a critical starting point, because we know who borrowed what under Eurobond 1, 2, all these Anglo-this, all these scandals. We even know who stole what and who was in charge. For example, at KEMSA, I'm seeing, them bringing back Mutahi Kagwe into government before he could answer questions about what happened to the KEMSA billions that were lost. This is a country that laughs and scoffs at scandals, at financial misappropriations.
We can't hear you.
When I look at the
your network is breaking now. I think Ronyo, can you hear him?
No, I think his network has an issue.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it will come again. Maybe he's speaking, but he didn't realize that. I think if you can hear us, we are very sorry, Honorable Kigame, to mention that maybe you were tempting, but we know that you were very serious of being a president of Kenya in last election, but you were denied a chance to vie. And the reason, you know very well, you have mentioned them very well. We are sorry about that. But you have mentioned a few things about the state of the nation, that what is needed unto us, that we need to stand against the oppression that is happening at the moment. We need to do away with the sideshows. we need to focus and we need to work together as a team. We need not to have several teams, but we need to have a team if we want this government out of the or we need a good governance about our country. If we don't do that, then guys, it seems that we are doing nothing. And he mentioned so many things. He mentioned that men without a chest are not men. Okay, he meant people. Yes, yes, Kigame, you back? Can hear you now. You mentioned several things there, but I want to welcome Comrade Maverick before Milton comes in. Abdi, I'm trying to get you back. I don't know what is happening. Maverick, how are you doing today? How is the Sunday? Happy New Year. How are you doing? Maverick, can you hear me?
Hey, Hillary, I lost you or you lost me. I don't know at what point, though.
Yeah, yeah. When you were mentioning the last point, then
On the economy?
yes, then you disappeared from there.
Yeah, so let me just say my last phrases there. I'm worried about the government lying to us that the government, the economy is improving. Of course, first of all, looking at the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics figures, I'm wondering whether we can really say that the economy is improving when the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics figures themselves indicate that we dropped from 5.6 to 4.6. 5.6 in 2023 to 4.6 in 2024. But then I was really curious to realize that, for example, they are saying that there has been a drop in cement production. And, this is the time they're saying they're really building a lot of affordable houses and so on, et cetera, et cetera. And when it comes to manufacturing and so on, I can see, um, the government proud about manufacturing more iron sheets and so on. And at the same time, they're saying there is a drop in the assembly of cars and stuff like that. So I'm actually wondering who is fooling who, or are we just going to that age-old question of lying with statistics?